Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Now I feel very nostalgic with the leftover water bottles and root beer cans behind me. It makes me very nostalgic for around this time last year, because this is pretty much what the background looked like for most of those videos. And I know I said that I was going to be doing some new videos in my new apartment, which I will do eventually, but while I am here, I want to keep up making videos whenever I feel the urge to, whenever I want to. So that's why I'm recording a lot of videos here. There will be new videos at the new place eventually at some point, probably soon. But for today's video, what I want to talk about is kind of an observation across, I guess, like alpha males or elite male. What some dudes see as the ideal like elite male is. I feel cringe as hell even just saying that. But some of those ideas I definitely find very weird, and I feel like a lot of guys have become very out of touch with what it actually means to, I guess, be. I hate the word like alpha so much, but that's like the best word I can use here. What it means to be, an alpha male, I guess, or just like the best man you can be, or just for anyone, not just men, like just anyone, like the best person you can be. But I have a couple points jotted down in front of me so I don't get too scattered, just to make sure I don't get lost, because midway through me speaking a sentence, I'll just completely just wonder what the hell I'm even talking about. And it's made for some interesting videos in the past. But the main point I have here on top is that I see a lot of dudes seem to care more about like looking masculine and presenting this look instead of caring, which in my opinion makes like a true alpha male, if you will, which is really just like a strong soul and being able to push through whatever life throws at you in your own unique way. Every dude, every person is built differently. If you're like me, your metabolism is off the charts, and I've been the same weight. I've been like the same build since I was probably like 15 or 16, like same height and everything. I can't really gain muscle, and I'm sure there's some science and you could eat this and you can I've known people who are absolute twigs like me who have been able to gain muscle. For me, it's not something I really care about too much, considering the fact that a lot of my hobbies are more in the arts realms and stuff, so it's not really in the back of my mind to be like, I want to go to the gym and gain muscle and have this certain bodily aesthetic, because that's just not something I really care about, and I can't commit myself to something if it's not something that really resonates with me. But a lot of dudes would like see this as like, oh bro, you need to hit the gym. And also I just feel embarrassed every time I go to the gym. It's me working out is an awkward sight that I pray no one has to see. But because of the fact that like my thing is like, I guess, the arts or whatever, creating videos, creating music, whatever, a lot of what makes me feel confident in myself and confident in my abilities and just as a person is creating content that I'm proud of, creating music that I'm proud of, videos that I'm proud of, and just continuing to do that and put a lot of my emotions into that. Like for example, if I'm like upset about something, if I'm like something's like really nagging at me or whatever, chances are I'll make a song about it or I'll make a video about it to get it off my chest and then let it go. I don't really look back at the videos I make unless like I get a comment, whatever, and then I look back. But I'm not ever really harping on my statistics or whatever, anything like that. And this isn't downplaying the idea of, if going to the gym and being on a strict diet and whatnot, if that's your thing, like go for it. If that's what you feel called to do, totally go for it. A big observation I noticed though is that a lot of people, a lot of these content creators or just people in general that really, harp on this alpha mindset, it's like they give advice to a lot of habits or things you could do to improve your life, but none of it ever really focuses on a sole thing that could provide you, in my opinion, like the most happiness ever. I know some common thing is like, oh, if you get on this diet, if you take only cold showers, if you do this habit, if you get on no fap or some shit, that all your problems are going to be solved and you're just going to be this happy person. But the truth is that you're not going to really find purpose in that, and maybe those things act as fuel for that thing, which if so, that's awesome. For me, I'm kind of solely driven by passion and excitement, and that's usually enough for me to get done what I need to get done. I don't really need any crazy extra habits or like specific crazy routine to keep up with what I want to keep up with. Like if I have a lot of passion and a lot of care for something I want to do, I'm going to do it regardless of if the rest of my life has a certain, very block by block structure. But that's just me. I know some people really need like a certain schedule or whatever to stick to things they want to do. For me, it's just I love it so much that I'll always come back to what I want to do. But harping back to the fact of what a lot of people see true masculinity or alphaness, what it really is. I mean, just the fact that people like Andrew Tate in the past have blown up and have gotten as big as they are. Like, there's a lot of people, including me, that disagree with like all he says pretty much. Of course, because of the fact that he has blown up, there have to be people that do agree with him or that do resonate with that idea of masculinity, tying in a lot of themes like aggression or like abuse towards women and acting like that's like just peak masculinity, like glorifying the idea of being an absolute hothead and defining defining that as alphaness or masculinity, when in my eyes, it shows complete lack of control of your emotions and the ability to harness your emotions into something beautiful, you know, call it alchemy, if you will. Like that to me is like the sign of like a true whatever, alpha. Because for all of us, it doesn't matter what human you are on this planet, life is gonna throw shit at all of us, all right? No matter what person you are, you cannot escape the fact that life is going to throw shit at you. The only thing you can maneuver is what you do with what it throws at you, and if you put it into something positive or if you put it into something negative, if you let it take complete control over you, you know. And to me, the ability to control this and find that outlet and to constantly put your emotions into whatever outlet it is, that's like what can completely make or break someone. Because a lot of these dudes that don't have that outlet are kind of fucked, because I notice a lot of them turn towards things like abusing their partner or whatever it is because they don't know what to do with that, and then they come up with excuses as to why their behavior is okay when it's not, and it's just a bad luck. And believe me, when I feel emotions, I feel them very strong. I have BPD, and basically a part of that is that any emotion I feel, whether it's sadness, happiness, anger, anything on the range of human emotions, I feel it very, very heavy. It completely takes me over, and it's very, very terrifying at points, which sometimes makes you wonder, you know, why I'm even making videos on YouTube, you know, considering, you know, people are going to be looking at you and stuff, and, you know, and that can have a very heavy emotion effect. But I don't know, I guess it is what it is with this. But what I like to do whenever I'm being overcome by like a very heavy emotion, any of the emotions I just mentioned, I kind of just don't think. I leave my mind for a minute and see what I gravitate towards. And that to me is like the secret sauce right there. Because often when I don't think and I just kind of like let be, I'll get very in tune with what the right thing is for me to do with whatever I'm feeling and what the wrong thing is. Obviously, the wrong thing is like taking it out on people you love, putting it to some form of negative aggression. It can be positive, like, I don't know, if you're punching a punching bag and that's your way of getting it out, that's fine. A lot of gas, Jesus. But usually whenever I let whatever emotion it is just kind of sink in, run through me, I'll usually turn to making music or creating content, whatever. It's just kind of a no thought process. I get it out and then it's on to the next thing until whatever life throws at me next happens, and then I have more fuel to put it out into whatever outlet I like. So it's this constant cycle. You know, it's taken me years of my life, you know, to get to the point where I do have like such a healthy cycle and kind of coping mechanism. But the biggest point that I did want to capture with this video is that I feel like a lot of whatever alphaness nowadays is very much structured around everything except for like a sole purpose or something you really love doing. A big emphasis is always these habits that could help your life, you know, this schedule, this work ethic, this thing. But a lot of people don't really have anything to apply this towards, so it's practicing all these habits to try to fill a void when the only thing that is going to fill that void is something you really love, and something that just, you know, kind of, you know, you don't think, you just do, and it kind of just carries you out of your body. You get into that flow state, if you will, and that's where the sauce is to me. Like, I could have a million like healthy habits or whatever, but without the things I love doing, without my passions, all those healthy habits, it means absolutely nothing. Which is why personally I'm completely fine with having a very flimsy, wobbly schedule. A lot of my stuff is very disorganized. It'll go in waves. Sometimes I'll be more organized, but it always inevitably ends up being a bit unorganized. But usually it doesn't matter because I'm so sucked into whatever I'm doing that I don't even notice the clutter. And again, to reemphasize, all these, you know, extra habits are great, but like outlet, like that is the secret sauce right there. That's the most important thing. And that's why I feel like a lot of, you know, alpha, whatever, masculinity coaches or whatever, just people in general are lacking the emphasis on is that healthy outlet. You know, you'll notice a lot of dudes start these healthy habits, you know, going to the gym, cold shower, eating there, whatever. And then they still end up, you know, turning to letting out their inner demons on, you know, people they love, whether it be a partner, friends, just, you know, somewhere they're not supposed to. And to me, the biggest definition of alphaness or whatever it is being authentically you, no matter how feminine or masculine you are, no matter what you're into, but embracing that to its fullest. That to me is like you're cool shit in my eyes. It doesn't matter what fancy, you know, habits you start and all that. But yeah, I think I've covered about everything I want to with this video. I know it's nothing new, and I know a lot of people and dudes are aware of like what I'm talking about and, you know, can latch on. But, you know, I guess like, you know, the younger part of, you know, the current generation, you know, I fear some of the practices that are being promoted. If you have any, you know, insight to offer, your thoughts, whatever, I always love conversations, so, you know, feel free to drop in the comments or whatever. Always love to hear it. But as always, I wish you guys an amazing rest of your day / night whenever you're watching this. I will see you guys in the next one, and peace out and much love.